The training arena was silent. Hundreds of alien cadets stood in perfect lines. Tall bodies, thick arms, glowing skin, and sharp eyes, all ready for battle. They belonged to the Zarkine Academy, the deadliest combat school in the galaxy. Floor of the arena was made of dark metal. The walls rose high, like cliffs, and in the center stood Commander Drax, tall and cold, with golden armor and red eyes that could freeze anyone in place. He raised one long arm and said, "We have a new recruit today." The cadets looked around. No one moved. Then a door opened behind Drax, and a small figure stepped into the light. Gasps filled the air. It was a human girl, short, thin, no glowing skin, no claws, no armor. She wore only a simple gray uniform and carried no weapons. "She's a child." One cadet whispered, "Is this a joke?" Another laughed. Drax raised his hand again. Silence returned. "This is Cadet Mira, from Earth." A ripple of shock went through the crowd. Earth humans were weak, soft, slow. The galaxy knew that. They had no claws, no scales, no firepower. "She will train here," Drax continued. "She will take the same tests. And if she survives, she earns her place." Mira stepped forward, her face calm, her eyes serious. One tall alien stepped. Out of line. Goran, broad shoulders, heavy fists, and sharp teeth. He smiled cruelly. "With respect, Commander," Goran said. "She doesn't belong here." "She has passed entry trials," Drax replied. "With respect again," Goran said louder. "Those trials are for real species." Mira looked at him. She did not speak. She did not move. Goran walked closer. He stood over her, his chest rising and falling. "Do you even understand where you are, little human?" Still, Mira said nothing. Goran growled, "You're not one of us. You're not a warrior." Then, without warning, he punched her, hard, straight into the side of her face. Gasps turned into cries. Some laughed. Some were shocked. Mira flew back a few feet and hit the floor. Drax took one step forward. "Goran!" But then, something strange happened. Mira stood up. Slowly, calmly, no anger, no fear. Her lip was bleeding. Her face was red. But her eyes were colder than space. She walked toward Goran, quiet, steady, and then before anyone could speak, she moved. Her hand grabbed Goran's wrist. There was a loud crack, and Goran screamed. His arm bent the wrong way. His body fell to the floor. He clutched his broken limb and cried out. The arena fell into complete silence. Mira looked down at him and said her first words, "You hit me first. Remember that." The next morning, the entire academy was talking about Mira. Some thought it was a trick. Some thought she had hidden weapons. Some said her bones were made of metal. Others whispered she used some kind of dark power. But Mira stayed silent. She trained. She ate alone. She studied in quiet rooms. She did not laugh. She did not cry. Drax watched her from a distance. He called in his second-in-command, Officer Resh. "What do you make of her?" Drax asked. Resh shrugged. "Too quiet. Too calm. Something's not right. She moves with purpose," Drax said. "No wasted steps." "She should have cried when Goran hit her," Resh added. "She broke his arm," Drax replied. Resh nodded. "Yes, like glass." 1 week later, all cadets were ordered to a field exercise. It was a fake battle with real pain. Aliens used stun blades, light grenades, and combat drones. It was meant to test teamwork, fear, and pressure. Mira was placed in a squad with 4 others. None of them liked her. "You stay behind, human," one said. "Don't slow us down." She nodded. Okay, they moved into the forest zone. Trees made of crystal, mud like black ink. Drones flew above, watching every move. Suddenly ambush. Enemy team. Real cadets, real pain. The 4 aliens jumped to fight. Mira stood behind a tree, watching. One teammate screamed. Another fell, then Mira moved. She ran straight into the ambush, ducked under a stun blade, and kicked the enemy in the knee. Joint snapped. Another enemy turned too late. Mira's elbow hit his throat. Fast, clean, sharp. The last two enemies backed away. They had seen enough. Mira helped her squadmates up. No words. No smile. Back at camp, Drax watched the replay footage. She's not just skilled, Resh said. She's surgical. Drax leaned forward. She's trained before. Not by us. That night, Mira sat alone outside the dorms. The stars above were quiet, cold, like her heart. She touched her lip, the same place Garan had hit. Then, from her pocket, she pulled a photo. A picture of her family, 2 parents. 1 little brother. All smiling, all dead. They had lived in a city on Earth that no longer existed. A surprise attack. A plasma bomb. From a rogue alien faction. Mira was 13 when it happened. She had survived. Only her. Earth had tried peace. But the galaxy had teeth. She trained every year after that. In secret. With Earth's forgotten programs. With people who didn't care about laws or limits. She had begged to be sent here, this academy. The heart of alien power. Not to learn. To understand how they fight, and how to break them if needed. The next day, a group of cadets circled Mira in the hall. You made Garan look weak, one said. You don't belong here, said another. They pulled out practice knives. Mira didn't. Speak. She stepped forward and said only one thing. Are you sure? That was all it took. They paused. Something in her voice. Something. Sharp. They walked away, not because they were afraid of knives, but because they were afraid of her silence. Later, Commander Drax called Mira to his office. He stared at her for a long time. You've caused fear, he said. She nodded. You've made enemies. She nodded again. But you have also earned respect. She looked him in the eyes. I'm not here for respect. Then why are you here? She didn't answer. Drax leaned forward. You broke Garan's arm with precision. You fought 4 enemies with no fear. You passed the mental barrier test without blinking. That test breaks the strongest. Still. She said nothing. He sat back. Fine, don't speak. But know this, you are being watched, not just by me. Not just by this school. But by powers far bigger than you understand. Mira stood up. Good. Drax raised an eyebrow. Why good? Mira walked toward the door and said, because I want them to watch. Then she left. At midnight, far above the academy, a ship waited in orbit. Inside, a voice spoke to another. Subject 7 has begun phase 1. She is calm? The second voice asked. Yes. She broke an arm? Yes. Good, the voice said. She is doing exactly what we trained her. 4. Should we send backup? Not yet. Let her break them slowly. Then the screen went dark. Back in the academy, Mira sat on her bed. She pulled the photo from her pocket again. She stared at it. And whispered to herself. One step closer. Outside her room, the security camera blinked. And turned off. The giant doors of the arena opened with a deep, metallic hum. Every cadet in the academy was called in. The floor shook slightly as heavy footsteps echoed inside. Lights flickered, and the air turned cold. Cadet Mira stood calmly near the edge of the arena. Across from her stood Varrock, the Zarkeen combat champion, 10 feet tall. 4 arms, skin like steel. His armor was dented from past fights, and each dent was a win. He was undefeated. Commander Drax's voice boomed through the speakers. This is not punishment. This is opportunity. Mira will face Varrock in single combat. The crowd laughed. The arena trembled with the sound. She won't last 10 seconds. Hope the medics are ready. Is Earth sending children too? Fight now? Mira didn't react. She looked up at Varrock. He was 3 times her size. His shadow covered her completely. Varrock pointed one large finger at her. No tricks, human. Mira nodded. No tricks. The buzzer rang. The fight began. VARRAK. Charged. Fast. Heavy. Like a falling wall of muscle and bone. The crowd roared. Mira didn't move. At the last moment she stepped aside. Varrock missed. Not by much, but enough. His shoulder hit the arena wall. With a loud boom, the wall cracked. He growled and turned fast. This time he used 2 arms to strike, one toward her face, the other toward her legs. She ducked, slid under his swing, then jumped up behind him and hit a pressure point behind his knee. VARRAK stumbled. Gasps filled the air. He turned again and roared, "You're lucky." Mira didn't answer. He attacked. Again, claws out, rage building. She dodged again, then again. She didn't hit back. Not yet. She was reading him, watching his movements. Measuring timing, breathing, balance. Then, she struck. One punch. Right under his ribs. He paused. Just for a second. Then, Mira's legs swept under his feet. Varrock fell. The crowd stood in silence. He got up. Slower now. She moved forward and said, "You're strong. But you rely on fear." Varrock snarled. "Fear wins wars." Mira tilted her head. "No, control does." She rushed in. Left jab. Right strike. Elbow to chest. Then spun behind him and hit a nerve at the base of his spine. Varrock froze. His legs stopped moving. He collapsed face first. The arena was silent. Mira stepped back. Calm, breathing steady. Varrock groaned, his body twitching. "Commander." Drax stood from the control booth. His voice was sharp. "Fight is over." No one spoke. Not a single cadet laughed. Later that day, the medical team scanned Varrock. "He's not broken," the healer said. "Just disabled, temporarily." "How?" Resh asked. "She used pressure points only known to." He paused. "Well, not known to us." Resh looked up. "Where did she learn that?" No one had the answer. In the dining hall, Mira sat alone again. This time, no one dared to insult her, but they watched her. All eyes. Every movement. One cadet, a quiet observer named Tech, finally sat near her. He whispered, "Where did you learn to fight like that?" Mira looked at him. "Earth." Tech frowned. "But Earth isn't known for combat." Mira took a bite of food. "Maybe Earth doesn't tell everything." Tech was silent. Then he leaned closer. "They say you broke Goran's arm without emotion. They say you beat Varrock with no weapons. Some say you're not really human." Mira looked up. Her eyes were calm, cold. "I am human," she said. "Then what are humans?" He asked softly. She didn't answer. That night in the command chamber, Drax stared at Mira's files. "She doesn't have military history," Resh said. "No official record of training. Just one note. Approved by Earth's Internal Defense Office." Drax nodded. "That office was shut down years ago." Resh tapped the table. "Maybe not." Then a new message arrived from Earth. "Let her continue. Do not interfere." Just that. Draxx, single quotes. S eyes narrowed. "They're watching too." The next day, a new test was held. The reflex trial. Was deadly. It used stun spears, flying discs, and sharp energy darts. Cadets had to dodge, block, and escape, blindfolded. Only 3 had ever passed it in Zarkeen history. Mira was the last to enter. She put on the blindfold. The machine powered up. Buzzing, clicking, whirring. 10 weapons moved in a pattern. The room went dark. And then attack. She moved. She ducked under the first blade, jumped over the second, rolled left, spun right. Her timing was exact. The machine sped up. Still, she flowed through the room like she could see everything. One disc nearly touched her arm, but her elbow bent just in time. Final strike energy. Dart at the chest. She twisted, fell back, and caught herself in a low crouch. The test ended. Silence. Then the lights turned back on. Drax stood watching. Resh beside him, Perfect pass, the system said. Cadets stared in awe. How? Someone whispered. Mira removed her blindfold. Earth teaches us to feel, she said quietly, not just to see. Later that night, Tech found her in the training hall. He watched her hit the practice dummy, fast, clean, over and over. Why are you here, Mira? She stopped, sweat on her forehead. Breathing steady. To learn your ways, she said. Why? She looked at him. To stop what's coming. What do you mean? She stepped closer and said just 4 words. Earth is not safe. Then she walked away. Tech stood frozen. Meanwhile, in the upper orbit above the planet, the shadow ship floated in silence again. The same voice from before spoke to the other. Subject 7 has passed the reflex trial. Has she used Earth tech? No. Not yet. Then continue observation. If she activates it, contact High Command. The screen showed Mira's calm face. She's still holding back. The voice whispered. Back in her room, Mira opened a small box from under her bed. Inside it was a single object. A black device, round, silent. She held it in her hand. It blinked once. She whispered, not yet. Then placed it back and locked the box. Outside, the hallway cameras blinked again and turned off. The alarm rang across the training facility. Cadets jumped out of their beds. Red lights flashed. The voice on the speaker was sharp. Level 4. Combat test. Squad survival mode. Begin in 5 minutes. No warning. No prep. The test was rare. It wasn't about points. It was about pain. Real pain. Mira stood, pulled on her boots, and tied her dark hair back. She was ready. In the testing chamber, 5 cadets stood in a circle. Each one had a stun blade and a small chest sensor. If they were hit 5 times, they were dead and forced to leave the room. The test lasted until 1 person remained, and it wasn't just about speed. The room was changing, walls moving, floors shifting, lights flashing, gas released. It was meant to confuse, to exhaust, to scare. Mira stood at the edge. Cadet Darren looked at her with disgust. Don't think your luck will work this time. Another. Cadet Rule smirked. You'll bleed like the rest of us. Mira said nothing. The buzzer rang. The fight began. Blades clashed. Sparks flew. Mira moved through the chaos like she had done it before. She didn't run. She didn't panic. She calculated. 1 cadet swung at her from behind. She ducked, twisted his arm, and kicked him in the chest. He fell. 1 point to Mira. Another tried to hit her from the side. She sidestepped. Slashed his chest sensor once, then again. Then again. 3 points in 6 seconds. The observers gasped, but something was wrong. Her sensor was still clean, not a single hit, and no blood. 10 minutes in, cadets were panting, bleeding, covered in bruises. Except Mira. She stood in the middle of the chaos, still, calm, watching. Only 3 cadets left now. Mira, Rule, and Darren. The 2 aliens looked at each other and nodded. They would team up. 1 attacked from the front. The other from behind. Mira didn't move until the very last second. She dropped low, kicked Rule's legs out. Rule fell. Darren's blade hit empty air. She turned. 2 quick strikes to Darren's side. 1 to his back. He screamed and fell. Rule stood up, furious. Fight me. Mira nodded. She let him charge. He swung wildly. She blocked, turned, countered. Then elbowed him in the face. He collapsed. The room went silent. The final score flashed on the screen. Winner, Cadet Mira, 0 hits. Taken. Commander Drax stood frozen. Officer Raish whispered, she didn't bleed. She didn't even sweat, Drax replied. Later the medical team checked Mira's vitals. Everything was normal. No wounds. No bruises, heartbeat steady. She's not a fighter, the medic said. She's a weapon. In the hall, Cadet. Tech walked beside her. Why don't you ever get angry? Mira didn't stop walking. Anger is noise, she said. Tech nodded slowly. And you prefer silence? She looked at him. Silence makes people listen. That night, Rule slammed his hand into the wall. She's a freak. She doesn't bleed. She doesn't scream. Darren nodded. She's hiding something. She's not even one of us. We should test her ourselves. And so they made a plan. 3 nights later, Mira was walking to her quarters when the hallway lights went. Dark. 4 cadets stepped out of the shadows. Rule, Darren, 2 others. No blades. Just fists. This is private, Rule said. No observers. No scores, just truth. Mira didn't step back. Rule ran at her and punched. Hard. She didn't block it. It hit her face. But she didn't fall, didn't move, didn't bleed. She looked him in the eye, then struck back. 1 hit to the chest. Rule gasped and dropped to his knees. Another. Tried to grab her from behind. She threw him into the wall. 3rd one backed up. She's not human, he whispered. Mira stared at them, cold, still. I don't bleed for cowards. Then she walked past. Commander Drax reviewed the footage. Unauthorized attack, Resh said. We should punish them. No, Drax said. Let them fear her. The next day, Mira was called into the mind trial, the hardest test. A cube-shaped room, bright white light. Total silence. It sent pain signals directly into the brain. Most cadets lasted 2 to 3 minutes. The best? Maybe 5. Myra sat in the chair. Helmet locked. Test began. Inside her mind. Memories came alive. Her mother's voice. Her brother's laughter. Then the blast. The fire. The screams. She saw her father run toward her. Then disappear in flames. She was 12. The pain increased. Blood. Smoke. Loss. The system tried to break her, but Mira had already broken once in her life. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She stayed still. 11 minutes later. The system shut down. Smoke rose from the cables. She had passed the limit. And destroyed the machine. The medic watching fainted. In the shadow ship. The voices spoke again. Subject 7 has exceeded limits. She has activated pain blocks. She is becoming what we feared. What about Earth? They're watching, waiting. Back in her room, Mira opened her black box again. This time, she placed the round device on the table. It blinked twice. She whispered, I need an update. A soft voice replied from the device. Enemy fleet movement detected near Jupiter. Council delay confirmed. War is still coming. Mira closed her eyes. Then I need to finish this training, fast. She locked the box. Outside. A message appeared on the command screen. Warning. Unknown signal detected. Source, Earth device. Drax stared at the alert. She's making contact. Resh stepped closer. With who? Someone more dangerous than her. The door to the pain chamber opened. Only 10 cadets had ever survived this test. Most passed out. Some screamed for it to stop. One went mad. Now. Cadet Mira stepped inside. No sound. No emotion. Just steps that didn't shake. She stood in the center of the room, where a metal chair waited. Officer Resh watched from behind the glass. She shouldn't last long. The pain will go past all limits. Commander Drax nodded once. Let's see what she's really hiding. The chamber sealed. The lights dimmed. The chair locked her in. Then the countdown began. Inside the room, Mira sat still. She didn't blink. Didn't move. Pain level 1. Heat in the spine. Burning sensation. She showed no reaction. Pain level 2. Pulse. To the neck. Deep muscle spikes. She sat straight. Pain level 3. Brain signal disruptors. Fire behind the eyes. Still no movement. Pain level 4. Memory echoes. The system forced her to relive the blast that killed her family. Smoke. Screams. Blood. A hand reaching for her. Then gone. She opened her eyes. And whispered, I remember it every day. Outside, Rish stared at the readings. She's stable? Drax narrowed his eyes. Impossible. Pain level 5. Bone pressure simulation. It felt like every joint was breaking. Still no screams. Not even a wince. Pain level 6. Heart stutter. Waves. One cadet had died during this level. Mira's pulse dropped, then held steady. A voice from the system warned, "Subject is bypassing trauma response. This is not normal." After 30 minutes, the chamber opened. Smoke escaped. Heat rushed out. Mira stood from the chair. Slowly, silently, she walked to the door. Raish ran down to meet her. How did you survive that?" Mira looked at him and said, "I felt worse." "Where?" Raish demanded. Her reply was soft, cold. She walked past him. Back in her quarters, Mira opened her black box again. The round device blinked 3 times. New fleet movement detected. 3 enemy ships near Mars. Delay in Earth's response confirmed. Earth. Command remains silent. You are still off-grid. No trace found. She whispered. Not yet. Let them think I'm alone. She locked the box. Next day, Mira was sent to the mountain zone for a solo survival test. No weapons. No food. No communication. Only 3 rules. Stay alive for 48 hours. Avoid detection. Return without injury. She walked into the cold winds and disappeared into the white fog. 18 hours later, the search team reported something strange. No signs of her trail. No heat signature. No drone footage. Resh frowned. She vanished? Drax didn't answer. 7 hours later, Mira walked calmly into the academy gates. No injuries. No scratches. Even her uniform was clean. A drone followed her, sending a silent video feed to the command room. It showed something chilling. A pack of wild beasts had surrounded her during the night, but she didn't run. She just stood still. Then one by one, the creatures backed away. As if afraid. Raish whispered, "What kind of training does that?" Drax said nothing. Meanwhile, cadets began whispering about her in every hall. She doesn't feel pain. She doesn't fear anything. She doesn't show mercy. One cadet finally asked her, "Do you enjoy fighting?" Mira answered softly, "I don't enjoy it." "Then why are you so good at it?" She looked him in the eye. "Because when I fight, no one I love dies again." 2 days later, a secret trial was set. Unknown to Mira, unknown to other cadets, the council had sent a hybrid, enforcer to test her. Half machine, half alien, twice as fast. Triple strength. It waited for her inside the main training hall. No cameras, no records. Just one door. One challenger. Mira entered. The door locked behind her. She stopped, felt the shift in air pressure. Then it charged. Blades out. Mira rolled under. The first strike blocked the second with her arm. Her sleeve tore. Metal claws cut skin, but no blood fell, not even a drop. She kicked the hybrid's leg. It didn't fall. Too heavy. Too smart. She smiled and whispered, "Finally, the real fight began." She moved fast. Low. Duck. Struck nerves. Hit joints. But the hybrid adapted. Each time she attacked, it learned. She couldn't win with technique alone. So she used rage. Not wild rage. Controlled fire. Every movement, a strike of precision. She let it hit her once. It cut her arm. Still no blood. The machine hesitated. Just a second. That's all she needed. She jumped, grabbed its neck, and ripped the wire loose. The hybrid dropped. Sparks flying. The council, watching from above, said nothing. Drax watched her calmly walk out. That night, Mira sat in her room. She unlocked the black box again. This time, she sent a message. Subject 7 has completed all high-tier trials. No detection. Final plan moving to Phase 2. The reply came fast. Confirm. Target knowledge acquired? She typed, "Yes, I understand how they think. I know their structure. I know their weakness. Earth is still silent, but I won't be. She paused, then typed one more line. I'm ready. The sky turned black over the academy. A massive ship arrived in orbit, round, armored, and glowing with ancient alien tech. Cadets stopped mid-training. Officers looked up with concern. Even Commander Drax stepped outside. The ship wasn't just Big Dot, it was legendary. The Iridan, Vault-class cruiser, the galaxy's last known weapon ship, banned by peace treaties, feared by every species. Inside the command center, alarms flashed. High Command has authorized Vault ship testing on Academy grounds. Purpose, final trial for Cadet Mira. Officer Raish froze. They're going to use the Vault against her? Drax didn't blink. She passed everything we gave her. They want to see if she can survive the worst. An hour later, Mira stood in the central arena. Alone, above her, the Iridan ship opened its underside. A machine dropped from the sky. 4-legged, 6 cannons. Energy armor. It was called the Ghost Crawler. No cadet had ever faced one. Even soldiers feared it. Drax's voice came through the speaker. This test is not to win, just survive. The cannon arms powered up. Blue sparks flew around them. Mira didn't flinch. The test began. The Ghost Crawler moved like lightning. It fired 2 energy blasts. Mira rolled sideways. The blasts hit the floor behind her, exploding with force that shook the arena. The crowd watching gasped. She sprinted. The machine tracked her. Fired again. She used a wall to flip over it. Landed hard. Didn't stop. The cannons turned toward her. She ran straight at it. The audience screamed. Ray shouted, "She's going to die." But Mira didn't stop. At the last second, she dropped under the machine, rolled between its legs, grabbed a panel. Under its belly, pulled out a wire. Sparks flew. The crawler paused only for a second, but it was enough. Mira jumped to its back. Another panel. Another wire. A hidden control node. She slammed her fist into it. The machine glitched. Then fell silent. Everything stopped. Draxx stood slowly. Raish blinked. She just shut it down. One of the engineers whispered. How did she know where that was? Mira stepped back from the crawler. Breathing steady, Drax's voice echoed again. Explain, Cadet. She looked up. I've seen this tech before. The crowd gasped. Raish leaned toward Drax. She? What? Mira raised her voice. Earth used Vault-class designs in early war cycles. We retired them, Raish whispered. Retired? Mira nodded. They were too weak. Silence. Total. Every cadet stared at her. She continued. You call this your strongest weapon. We used it. Then moved on. Someone in the audience muttered. Lear. Mira stared straight into the cameras. I'm not here to impress you, she said. I'm here to remind you. Later that night, Mira sat alone in the dark. She opened her black box again. The device blinked. Vault ship confirmed. Test completed. Reaction from command? She typed. They fear Earth's knowledge now. That's enough. A reply came. Proceed to next objective. Enter weapons chamber. Record full layout. Mira paused. Then replied. Already done. Meanwhile, the High Council met on a distant moon. She identified Vault tech in seconds, one elder said. Earth denied having this knowledge. Another whispered. What else are they hiding? A silent vote was cast. One elder finally said, We can't allow Earth to remain unsupervised. At the Academy, Commander Drax stood in front of Mira. You embarrassed our fleet. Mira looked him in the eyes. I told the truth. Drax's eyes narrowed. And how does a human cadet know these secrets? I learned from people you never met, she replied. People who built ships you couldn't imagine, then destroyed them when they realized peace couldn't come through power. Drax didn't speak. He didn't have to. Mira turned to leave, then stopped and said, If you really want to test me next time, don't send your machines. He raised an eyebrow. Then what should we send? She looked back. Send your best. Warrior. The next morning, an alert came in from Earth. One short message. Just one line. Let her continue. Raish read it twice. That's it. Drax stared at the screen. That's enough. In her room, Mira sat on her bed and pulled out an old photo. Her family. She whispered, one more phase. Then she folded it and tucked it back into her chest pocket. Suddenly, her room lights blinked red. An alert. Unknown ship entering system. It wasn't Earth. It wasn't Council. It wasn't friendly. The Academy sirens began to scream. The sirens did not stop. Red lights flashed across the sky above the Academy. Automated voices screamed. Unknown vessel approaching. All cadets report to shelters. This is not a drill. High above the planet, a dark ship entered orbit. No markings. No identification code. But its weapons were charged, and its engines glowed with old deadly energy. Inside the command room, Commander Drax stared at the screen. His voice was cold. That ship should not exist. Officer Reish checked the records. It's not in our database. But the heat signature, it matches the attack on the Earth City 10 years ago. Drax froze. The one that destroyed Mira's home. Reish looked at him. Yes, on the ground. Cadets ran to their safety zones. Shields rose across the base. Drones flew into the sky. But Mira was not with them. She stood alone in the middle of the Academy's training yard. Watching the ship, remembering. Flashback. 10 years ago, she had been 12. The sky had looked the same dark. Angry, full of fire. She had run with her little brother, her parents behind her. Then a blast. Smoke, screams and silence. She was the only one left alive. Now, the ship that started it all had returned. Mira turned and walked back inside. She didn't run. She didn't panic. She had been waiting for this moment. In her room, she opened the black box again. The device blinked rapidly. Enemy confirmed. Target ship. Class unknown. Hostile. Prepare for elimination. She whispered, I'm ready. The box opened fully this time. Inside was not just a device. It was a weapon. Smooth, black, small. It fit in her hand like it belonged there. She pressed one button. Her eyes glowed briefly with blue light. Then, everything changed. In the Academy's control center, systems began to fail. Cameras died. Security locks opened. Main power flickered. Drax shouted, What's happening? An officer pointed at the screen. Someone triggered an old Earth code from inside the Academy. Drax's eyes widened. Mira. And then she was gone. No one saw her leave. No camera recorded it. 1 second she was in her room. The next dash, nothing. Above. The enemy ship sent out a warning. This system belongs to no one. Leave or die, Drax growled. They think they can threaten us? But then the ship fired. Not at the planet. At the moon nearby. The moon exploded. Half of it vanished in fire. The rest became dust. Cadets screamed. The Academy shields activated. Resh sighed. If they hit the planet next. They won't, Drax said. Not if Myra gets there first. Somewhere between sky and orbit, Mira moved unseen. The Earth tech device in her hand was more than a weapon. It was a shadow pass. A tool that allowed her to walk between waves of energy. She was not flying. She was slipping through space. No ship. No sound, just purpose. She landed silently on the enemy cruiser's top hull, pulled the weapon from her back, something the galaxy hadn't seen in over 100 years. A neutron blade, black edge, blue core, no mercy. Inside the ship, alien. Soldiers laughed. Planet defenses are weak. Council won't respond. And that human base is full of soft trainees. Then the lights flickered. One turned. What was that? Another shrugged. Just power shifting. Then the first one fell. No sound. No breath. Just a clean cut across the neck. The second soldier didn't even scream. Mira moved like a ghost. One hallway. One floor. One kill at a time. Each room she entered silence. Followed. She reached the core chamber in 6 minutes. The enemy captain stood waiting. Tall. Scarred. 4 arms. 2 plasma guns. He smiled. I remember your face. She didn't smile back. You killed my family, she said. He shrugged. You were lucky to survive. Mira stepped forward. You won't be. The final fight began. He fired both plasma guns. Mira dodged. Rolled. Threw a blade. One gun dropped. He rushed her with a war axe. She blocked with the neutron blade. Sparks flew. They fought in silence. Strike after strike, until Mira whispered, "This isn't for Earth." She slashed across his chest. "It's for them." Another strike. His legs buckled. "And for what you'll never do again." One final hit. The captain dropped. The ship alarms blared. Power. Overload. Self-destruct sequence active. Mira moved fast. She reached the core, placed her Earth tech charge, and whispered the code. Memory burn protocol. Activate. The ship began to collapse. Back on the planet, the cadets looked up. The enemy cruiser exploded. One bright light across the stars. No warning. No trace. Just fire. And then silence. Drax stood frozen. She did it. Resh asked, "But where is she?" Mira was gone. Not dead. Not captured. Just missing. No signal. No voice. No body. She had vanished. But she had left one message. A single sentence broadcast through an old Earth channel. "I warned you. The war has already begun." 3 days passed. The enemy cruiser was destroyed. The sky was quiet. But Mira was gone. The Academy searched every channel, every signal, every corner of the system. Still nothing. The cadets whispered. In the halls, maybe she died on that ship. No body was found. She could still be out there. Some feared she would return. Others hoped she would. But deep down, all of them knew the war wasn't over. Commander Drax stood in front of the high command screen. Alien generals, council leaders, warlords all watching. One of them asked, "Are you sure the threat is gone?" Drax answered calmly. "The cruiser is destroyed." But the real threat was never the ship. Then what was? Drax looked at them, her. Far from the Academy, in deep space, a dark ship floated alone. Inside it, Mira stood in front of a screen. Her arm was wrapped in light fabric. Her eyes were calm. The Earth tech device on her wrist blinked softly. Target destroyed. Memory burn complete. Enemy command structure shaken. But Mira didn't smile. "Not enough," she whispered. She pressed a button. Another voice replied, "Earth command. Subject 7 status. Alive," she said. "And ready for phase 3. Across the galaxy, something strange began to happen. Enemy ships disappearing without a trace. Leaders resigning overnight. Whole fleets turning around without orders. Council members were confused. What is happening? Who is doing this? Then, one message appeared on over 50 military channels. A video. No words. Just an image of Mira. Her eyes calm. Her face cold. And under the image 4 words. "I know your secrets." At the Academy, Resh stood next to Drax, watching the video. "She's sending a message." Drax nodded. "She's not hiding. She's hunting." Meanwhile, on a remote desert moon, 3 alien warlords met in secret. They had once helped attack Earth. Now they were afraid. One of them trembled. "She took out a Vault-class cruiser alone." Another said, "She destroyed my bunker from orbit. No sound, no light, just gone." The third whispered, "I surrender." The others stared at him. He raised his arms. "I don't want to be." Next, back on Mira's ship, her AI spoke. "One more target left, Central War Grid on Volter Prime. The source of most anti-Earth weapons." Myra nodded. "Send a warning." "What message?" She said nothing for a moment. then typed, "Last chance. Lay down your weapons." Hours later, on Vulture Prime, a council of high generals met. One shouted, "She can't touch us here. This is the most protected base in the galaxy." Another snapped, "Tell that to the 5 ships she erased in one night." Then the lights went out, alarms flashed, the central grid sparked, weapon systems went offline. In the silence, a message appeared on every screen. 4 words again, "You chose this path." Then came the sound, a single ship breaking atmosphere. Above, but this wasn't war. This was a reminder. Mira's ship hovered over the base, still and silent. No weapons fired. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Inside the war base, officers dropped their weapons. Not because of bombs, not because of force, but because of fear. She had never asked for surrender. Until now, and they gave it without a fight. The next day, dozens of enemy outposts sent the same message: "We surrender. Please don't send her." At the academy, Cadet Tech watched the news feed. Every major power, every battlefront, every fleet, pulling back. Stopping. And in every room, one name was whispered like a warning: Mira. Resh stared at the galaxy map. Red enemy zones turned. "Blue, this is not war," he said. Drax answered quietly. "No, this is something worse." Resh asked, "What will she do now?" Drax didn't answer, because even he didn't know. Back aboard her ship, Mira stared at her family photo. She touched the faces gently. Then turned to the screen. One last message. Waited. From Earth. "You've done enough. Come home." She stared at it for a long time, then typed back, "No, not yet. There's one more thing.